Hi, I'm Amy,
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Sheena.
and this is our proposal for urban development using GIS. We created a GIS model for a proposal for luxury urban development in the Bowen Vale catchment. The Bowen Vale catchment is currently a recreational reserve in the Port Hills and Christchurch.
We wanted to find out if it is possible to build luxury housing in the area. The catchment is currently a grassy valley with some forested patches. To determine if it is suitable for housing construction, the slope, stream networks, views, slope direction, soil type, and ground stability must be evaluated. The targeted group for the proposal are most likely wealthy people with high expectations of views over the area and maximum sunlight for gardens and inside the houses. Due to this, we chose to evaluate the catchment in terms of light and view factors.
The model created took an input DEM and applied the slope tool to it to create a slope layer in raster format by calculating the maximum rate of change in value from one cell to its neighbours. From this slope layer, the viewshed tool was applied, as well as another observer point input layer showing the proposed location of the luxury housing, the house marker layer. This produced a viewshed raster with two values, showing the visible and invisible parts of the raster surface surrounding the housing. Then the aspect tool was also applied to the slope layer to find a slope direction layer, the values of which are the compass direction of the aspect. Following this, the hillshade tool was applied to the slope layer to create a shaded relief of the area. Once the model was applied, these output layers were combined with other map layers such as roads, walking tracks, and the catchment outline to show the proximity of the proposed building site to the local roading network and walking tracks within the catchment.
The model has various limitations. It does not evaluate stream networks or runoff, which are important for reducing risk of flooding in the new houses. A calculated streamflow map will not account for extreme storm events, and therefore it is difficult to model whether any of our proposed urban development is at risk during such an event. None of the maps indicate the stability of the ground and whether or not it is sufficiently stable during an earthquake event. Also, more information is needed about soil types and if they are suitable for safe building.
The model may allow us to select appropriate sections for building, however it may not be accurate enough to determine where to build roads and accessways. Slope would be a useful evaluation for this. The resolution of the maps inputted into the model may have affected the final resolution of the output map and caused inaccuracies when selecting the sections for urban development. This model cannot provide estimates into the cost of such a proposal, but it needs to be decided if the cost outweighs the benefits.
Although we had access to the various data sources, such as maps and aerial images, having more data available, especially for the Bowen Vale area we are focusing on, would have made our model more accurate and better to use for design and construction. As the catchment is currently a recreational reserve, inquiries would need to be made to the council about potential construction before any development could go ahead. The area may also be of cultural significance, in which case liaising with the local iwi would be necessary to find out if the proposal is even possible.
There are various future potential improvements for the model. These include determining streamflow using annual exceedance probabilities accounting for more extreme storm events, gathering more streamflow data to ensure the urban dwellings have sufficient stormwater infrastructure to cope with a 20% AEP storm as per level of service requirements,
using a minimum winter temperature map to check if snowfall is possible in the proposed area during winter, gathering more information about wind and wind direction, using input maps with a higher resolution in order to get a more accurate output map.
Native forest is a big factor which must be taken into account in any New Zealand construction. Evaluating areas of native forest and choosing the best placement of housing away from these areas is necessary, as native forest cannot be removed. Fixing the disturbed environment, we need to think about drainage as natural fluvial landscape is disrupted, adding solar panels to the housing if the sunlight direction is optimal. The environmental ramifications of the proposal are another key issue. These include urban development disturbing wildlife and disrupting ecosystems in the catchment. It could affect the runoff and infiltration and potentially disrupt natural stream networks.
There might be potential losses in vegetation. Construction runoff might contain contaminants that could pollute the Bowen Vale pond and disrupt the ecosystem of it.
Road construction would cause a decrease in slope stability, resulting in increased erosion. Since the catchment is currently a reserve, urban development might result in a destruction of some species habitats. It could also be a visual eyesore.
Using the model to simulate urban development in the Bowen Vale catchment, it was concluded that the area is adequate for luxury housing based on optimum sunlight and extensive views of Christchurch City, the Heathcote Estuary, and even out to the Southern Alps. However, if the proposal was to go ahead, cultural, legal, flood prevention, earthquake stability, and environmental factors would need to be taken into consideration.